The Miami Hurricanes just blew out the Florida Gators at the Swamp. And yes, the Miami player who needed to step up most did, but the Hurricanes also got some surprise contributions.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, 41-17. Florida Gators had, as they told you throughout the week, they had not lost a home opener 34 years, 33 straight home openers. The Florida Gators had won. Miami goes in there, blows their doors off. It is a beautiful thing. And folks, I had been, admittedly, I was very conservative with my game prediction because I had been telling you close game, 27-24 in favor of Miami was my official pick pregame. But as you guys know, show favorite, the truth teller, Bruce Warner. Bruce, throughout the entire offseason, you had been saying you think Miami would and needed to go into the Swamp and blow the Gators out. I was a little concerned that you were maybe setting the bar a little bit too high, but they went out there and did just that.
Look, I appreciate the accolades, but as I've said all along, I mean, in the last week, I was thinking, all right, maybe it'll be closer than I'm opening my big mouth because everybody was predicting either the Gators or a close game. But I told you, and my catchphrase is, I don't know how anybody could stop this offense. And it was proven yesterday. Wow. And I also said that Mario has this team together and tight. They are definitely tight. They're all on the same page. And I didn't really care about the noise in the Swamp. Who cares about the stupid Swamp? You got to play the game. Yeah. And we beat the daylights out of these guys. And other than that 71-yard run, they really didn't do much. I mean, they scored at the end when they put the backup quarterback in. but still, this was a blowout. They could not stop our offense. Ward is incredible. I had never really seen him play a full game when he was at Washington State. I watched highlights. Man, is he good. And these receivers were good. The routes, some of these guys were wide open. And all the hard work and everything that they have done since the end of last season, you got to applaud Mario. You could say what you want about him. He got too much money. He's this. He's not good. Wow. He had this team. Dawson was great. We were worried about him. I was worried about him. So were you.
Hold on. I was not as worried because, like I said, when you have talent and you have a quarterback like Dawson now has, people are going to see how having Cam Ward is going to make an offensive coordinator look like a genius. And I think Dawson's very good at his job. I think he was handcuffed by the previous quarterback. We saw a masterpiece of play calling.
Yes, we did. And it was a thing of beauty to watch. Not the same run up the middle, try to pass it on third down and have to punt. What a great game plan. The whole team, it's just almost like they left Coral Gables and they were like transfixed to the stadium and didn't even take a bus trip. They just went from the practice field right to the stadium and continued to kick butt. Can't say the other word anymore. So I said butt. But I'm so excited. I'm so happy for the program. I'm happy for you because this is your show. This is Alex Donno's Locked On. It's not mine. I'm just happy that I get to participate. And I'm also happy about the fact that I try to tell the truth. I say when I think there's issues and things that are concerning to me. But on the flip side, I'm all Cane. And I try to be as realistic and honest about my feelings as possible. And look what happened. Look what happened.
It was beautiful. And we're going to talk later on this episode about the big picture of just what type of a team Mario Cristobal has built and what they can accomplish after first important victory is in the books. I mean, this was no ifs, ands, or buts. This is on paper one of the three hardest games on the schedule. And Miami passes their first test on the road in flying colors. We are, of course, going to talk about the top performers on the offense and on the defense. Talking here about how Miami drained that swamp, Bruce. Now, I mentioned in the opening that the player who needed to step up most absolutely did. Let's talk about Miami's starting quarterback, Cam Ward. He actually, Bruce, threw for more yards in this one, 385, than any other Miami quarterback has thrown in their Hurricanes debut. So, and you talk about a good debut for Cam Ward with 385 in this game. And okay, you mentioned like the one, and we'll circle back to the defense a little bit later. Like the one lapse for the defense was when they gave up that 71-yard Monty Johnson run. There was a couple of breakdowns on that play. The only bad play on the offense was in the first quarter when Cam Ward made that decision, trying to do too much, rolling out to his left, threw across his body, tipped pass, ended up being an interception. But the most important thing, Mr. Warner, was not making that mistake, because it was a mistake, but the way that Cam Ward responded from that mistake like a professional. Like we're not always used to that down here.
Yes.
Sometimes when your quarterback throws an interception, that snowball starts rolling down that hill and turns into an avalanche. But Ward got sharper after he threw the interception. Did not make a mistake like that again. Like the way he responded was just, he's a professional quarterback playing college football, plain and simple.
I agree. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they stop them and hold them to a field goal after the interception? They didn't score a touchdown. So to me, that was the trigger of everything. I was, oh no, they're going to tie it up, and they didn't. I don't think they ever led. They never led. Florida never led. Right. Nope. And that was the beauty of it. The defense stepped up, which we didn't really see in the past. That he gets back on the field, but I just love Martinez. I'm not thrilled about how he stands behind the line and then he takes off, but he's good at it. So let him do his thing.
Yeah.
He's good at it. And I was thrilled to see Fletcher, which I said a few weeks ago he was going to play. And I knew he was going to play, but I wasn't going to continue to say he's definitely playing, because I'm not going to say. But he played, and he had 2 touchdowns. I feel great for him. I feel great for McCormick. Not that I'm a fan of his, because I don't really think he should be playing that much. But he was there on that one play, and nobody covers him. He's left alone a lot.
Yeah, 9-yard touchdown. And that opening drive, Bruce, 11 plays, 84 yards. And let me go back to that, because one of my biggest keys to victory for Miami before this game was, and I think you were on the same page with me on this, you got to score first and you've got to score early. Because if you want to start laying the foundations for taking that crowd out of it, which obviously Miami did, because late in the fourth quarter, it was only Miami fans left in that building. But scoring first was so important for the U in this one. 11 plays, 84 yards. Cam Ward was surgical on that drive. Damien Martinez had big runs on that drive. That was the drive with the 9-yard touchdown reception for Cam McCormick. So that was massive, Bruce, to be able to set the tone the way Miami did.
Yeah, it's funny to watch Ward, because on 2 of those runs in that first period, he like tiptoed out of bounds. It just seemed like, what are you doing that for? Can't you go another 5 or 6 yards? Every yard counts. But he did that twice. And the announcers were saying how cool this kid is. And he was. Yeah. He was so cool. That pass that he rolled out to his left, and he threw a laser to Jacolby George. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What a throw. What a play that was. That's got to be a backbreaker for the people. The only thing that I missed not being there was I didn't get to hear the Gator fans screaming and yelling at Napier on the sidelines, because I'm sure they must have been screaming their brains out, but you can't hear it when you're watching on TV.
They're too busy. They have their calculators out. They're trying to figure out that buyout for him. Like, oh, okay, if we can finance it at 11% APR, we can have him paid out by 2050.
And I remember saying that a couple of weeks ago on one of the shows. Jump on them early, and they'll start turning on their coach, because most of this stuff had to do with, we're in the swamp, we're playing in the swamp. The heck with the swamp. That did nothing yesterday. And by the way, we didn't mention it, but Virginia Tech didn't look too good. We know Florida State didn't look too good, although I'm not counting them out. Clemson looked like absolute garbage. So,
NC State as well. They didn't look good against.
Yeah, but we don't play them. We don't play North Carolina.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
We don't control our own destiny. All we got to do is just roll out the carpet every week and play like this. I'm not saying we're going 12-0, but you have to sit here and say, wow, what Mario has done is making me, as a Canes fan, very happy. I'm proud, because I'm going to be wearing all this Canes stuff all about you when I leave to go on the cruise in an hour and a half.
I mean, Bruce, I might drive back to Gainesville and just stay there for a week so I can just walk down the street for the next week in my Miami gear, just trolling those people up there. It's such a beautiful thing. We have
Yeah,
so
but
much
you
more
had
to
a
talk
show. You
about.
did a show with that whatever the guy or her name is.
Brandon Olson.
And you didn't even have a Miami shirt on. People
Here's
were
the thing.
commenting about that.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, people, can I address that for a second? Because I walked all around Gainesville Friday night, Miami gear head to toe. The reason why I wasn't wearing Miami gear on Saturday was I had a press pass, and you can't do that when
okay.
you go to games in the press box. Like you had, so that like anyone who thinks like I'm afraid to walk around.
No, you're
Gainesville,
not afraid, Alex. You're just not as smart as me. You should have worn a Miami shirt underneath that dress shirt and just take it off when you do the show with this guy.
Well, I should have just brought a change of clothes because by the time I had sweat through my shirt that I was wearing there anyway because it was so hot.
I know we have to keep going with this, but I've got to ask you this. What did that kid say when the game was over? What did he say to you?
Yeah, I was
You were
texting
lucky?
with him. No. He just, I don't know. He knew they got beaten down. He just told me, like, he says he's going to stand in the paint. Like, he understands. Like, and by the way, Miami fans, if you do want to, after you watch Locked On Canes, of course, if you want to watch Locked On Gators, and if I'm not saying I want you to flood Brandon Olson with comments, but if you do, I mean, I can't stop you from flooding Locked On Gators with comments. I mean, Brandon's a stand-up dude. He was obviously very wrong about this game in every aspect.
Isn't he the guy that said 90, but they're going to win by 90?
Well, that was just a joke. His official prediction was Florida 27-24. So he thought it'd be a close Florida win. But he told me, he said, Donno, I'm going to stand in the paint. So he's going to, I haven't watched Locked On Gators yet, his post game, but I would assume, hopefully, he owned up to that loss.
Yeah, I hope so.
And he took it like a man.
I just want to hear him say that Miami's really good. That's all.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that I play basketball with and stuff, and they're saying the Gators stink. I don't know if they stink. They ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did.
There was no way they were going to beat this team. And if they played next week and every week for the next 12 weeks, they'd still lose.
So I want to talk when we come back about a couple of surprise contributors who got a lot of early PT and how they did. We still have some more offensive players to break down, but defensive side of the football as well. And then I do want to talk a big picture a little bit later on for Miami. So my friends, after this 41-17 win, Miami at Florida, we are only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, and I am only getting started on this amazing game in simulation, Ultimate College Football HC. I think you're going to have as much fun doing this as I do. In this amazing game in simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes? From recruiting players, put your loafers on, and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. And here's what I really love about the game. You're responsible for calling offensive plays during games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but it will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Canes fans. Use promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store, and receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. Guys, thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods, and make sure you make Locked On ACC your next listen. I co-host that show with Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack, and yeah, on our next episode, we'll be talking about how I would say Miami represented the ACC better than anyone else did in weeks 0 and weeks 1. Maybe Georgia Tech, who pulled off that upset against Florida State, but Miami looks like the best team in the conference right now. And Bruce, okay, so we got the truth teller with us. We talked about the top 2 running backs. Damien Martinez had 11 carries for 65 yards, including that one where he posterized that Gator defender, like just shove that dude in the other direction, which was fantastic. Mark Fletcher scores 2 touchdowns. How about Jordan Lyle? getting reps as the third running back. And people always say, like, what does it take for a true freshman running back to get on the field right away? You have to be good as a pass protector. And Lyle has been that throughout fall camp. He gets rewarded with playing time. And you could see, like, didn't put up huge stats or anything, Bruce. And the Gators do have a pretty good rushing defense this year. But Jordan Lyle, let me put up his final numbers, 6 carries for 18 yards. And you can definitely see this dude is going to be a player.
Yes, he is. He's really good. And that's exactly what Donnie Solinger told us months ago. He loved this kid. And you could see him. He doesn't look like a true freshman. He looks like a veteran out there.
Yeah.
So I was really happy with him. The wide receivers, Horton made some catches.
Yeah, 70 yards receiving for Horton.
Yeah, Horton looked good. Brown was inconsistent. Although I don't blame him.
I just wish, hold on, with Brown, I wish he had caught that pass from Restrepo.
Yes,
like
he got a great throw.
It wasn't, but if he had caught that, oh man, that would have been a highlight for the ages.
Yes, and you could see that Restrepo was not happy, but whatever. I don't think it was that catchable of a ball, but the play was great. They're going to do it again because they want to get him a touchdown pass. And then Jacolby had that great catch in the back of the end zone. So the tight ends, which is what we kept on saying all along, the tight ends got to get in. So I have a friend of mine who I play basketball with. He texted me yesterday in the first quarter that Arroyo stinks. I said, no, this kid's real good. What do you see? And he had a great game. He was trucking people too. He's a mismatch. And then we get to see Elijah Lofton get in the game, and he trucked some people too. Wow. That reminded me of Mark Bavaro playing with the Giants against the 49ers back in the 80s. He was dragging people down the field. That was a great play. That kid is, and the announcer were just raving about him.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, let's talk about the line of scrimmage. We'll start on the offensive side, and then we'll transition to the defense. Miami's offensive line, Bruce, from the first drive, they were getting really impressive push on that Gators defensive line. And the Gators did pretty well at times, like slowing down the run on the defensive line. But Miami's O-line, I know that we did expect them to be good. There's no question about that. But they did have to replace 2 starters. I thought Zach Carpenter, the new center, did incredibly well. And this is, again, one of the tougher games on the schedule. He passed the test. The entire line only gave up 1 sack on the day. Obviously you always expect Jalen Rivers and CeCe Mauigoa in his second year and Inez Cooper to be solid. And, the left guard by committee did really well. And I know Ryan Rodriguez did get rolled up, and I hope he's okay. I don't know Rodriguez's injury status.
He sprained it.
Is that what it was? Okay. Good. I didn't. Oh, that's great. No, I didn't catch that. That's good because.
And then Bain got hurt, and they said he's out for the next week or 2, but it's precautionary. Yeah, if he had to play, he would, but they don't need him for these next 2 games.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, soft tissue injury, and Damari Brown, I think, as well, soft tissue for him. But I thought the left guard by committee with Ryan Rodriguez, who worked really hard during the offseason, and Matt McCoy did really well. So kudos to the offensive line. But Bruce, that defensive line, my goodness, 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks in the game. And like sacking Graham Mertz is not easy because he does, we talked about this, to his credit, he does have a very quick release, a lot of check downs. The ball doesn't stay in his hands for very long. Miami ends up with 3 sacks on the game. And like the big game ball that I want to give out to Miami's defensive front goes to Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron, I thought was fantastic with a sack, 2 tackles for loss in this game, constant disruption, because Bruce, you probably heard that the narrative from Florida fans was, oh yeah, Miami's got Tyler Barron now. 4 years in Tennessee, this guy never did anything against the Gators. Never steps up in the big games is what they said. Now, the film would say otherwise, although to Florida's credit, they did in those specific games against Florida, they usually kept Tyler Barron in check. They did not keep Tyler Barron in check.
Well, it's because he's got 3 other guys next to him that are just as good. That was not the case at Tennessee. But it's funny because I didn't really hear Mesidor's name mentioned that much at all. I really didn't.
Yeah.
From watching the game, I didn't hear his name mentioned. Maybe
I got to see the snap count. I don't feel like he got nearly as many snaps as I expected.
Yeah, I know. I saw Moten at the end. He got nicked up a little bit, but the defense was the entire game. There was so much pressure on this kid, and he got hit many, many times. after he released the ball legally, supposedly.
Right.
I wasn't that impressed with their offense at all. The kid is good. You give him
Yeah.
time, but he
Lagway.
doesn't have
DJ
time.
Lagway.
What do you
Yeah.
expect from the
Yeah.
kid? He doesn't have
Yeah.
much time. Now, Lagway created some plays. He's pretty good. He's very good, but then he's
Yeah.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's a true freshman. Like it's good. And he may, and I don't know how serious Mertz is in because Mertz got injured. So I don't know if they're going to have to maybe turn to Lagway for the rest of the season. Like I
I don't know
haven't,
about the
have you
season.
seen?
It looked like he
Yeah.
hit it. Somebody hit his head. They were
Is
talking
that what it
about
was?
targeting. So he probably has.
Okay.
Maybe he'll have a concussion. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, he's not playing next week.
No.
And I'll
So
bet
they're
the
going to
fans
see.
are screaming for the backup quarterback. He's a 5-star.
Yeah. Well, and let's linebackers, Bruce, Kiko and Wes Bissainthe both had excellent games as you would expect. Let me pull up the defensive stats here so I can see exactly how many. Yeah. So Kiko was second on Miami in tackles, 6 total tackles, a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. Wesley Bissainthe had a big tackle for loss and 4 tackles in this game. Linebackers very good. We could talk a little bit about that, but I really want to put the spotlight on the defensive secondary because that was and the way that I've tried to frame this over the last couple of weeks is I didn't want to frame the defensive backfield as a quote unquote weakness just because, okay, you're talking about a lot of inexperienced players who just needed to get out there and prove themselves. And so I called it a question area, not a weakness, a question mark area.
Right.
They answered most every question, Bruce. I mean, and this was even, having some guys, having Damari Brown, leave the game injured, who had some really good coverages, early before he got nicked up in the game. The defensive secondary passed the test with flying colors, and Jaden Harris had a heck of a game, led the team in tackles, had an interception late.
I didn't think there were that many wide open Florida Gators.
No.
In the game. A couple of plays, yes, down in the middle of the field. But for the most part, they blanketed these guys. They were right on top of them. That could have been probably a few more pass interferences, although I saw one where the Florida receiver pushed our defender away and they didn't call anything. That was in the right corner of the end zone. That could have been offensive pass interference.
Yep.
But no, I thought the team played great. And I don't know where I went. Maybe I went to get a candy bar or something, but I missed a field goal that he missed. I didn't see it. What happened?
Oh, okay. So here's what it was a longer attempt, and this was you may laugh at me for this, but I was screaming I was listening to Joe Tessitore, the TV announcer, and I was screaming at Tessitore because right when Andy Borregales is lining up for this long field goal, Joe Tessitore starts talking about how his older brother won the Groza Award, and I'm like, you don't start talking about the Groza when the kid's lining up for a long 50-yard or whatever it was, and he missed it. So I was like, broadcaster's jinx. He did come out and make another field goal, Andy, later on in the game. But yeah, we did. It's at some point, probably, I don't know if it's third quarter. Yeah, we did miss a field goal. It might have been fourth quarter already.
So if anybody asks me, because my ex-wife asked me, I don't want to hear it. The Kings are back. The King, you've been telling me that for 20 years. I said, I'm not saying a word. Just watch the game.
Well, hold on. That's the segue, Bruce, because I do want to talk a little big picture when we come back. And you don't have to say the Canes are back. I understand why you wouldn't, but let's talk a little bit about this roster and what kind of a season Miami can have after this 1-0 start, because you want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're not done on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. I don't think I've slept in a week, and I have been able to get a boost through our good friends at 5 Hour Energy because, guys, they put that pep in my step. Do you get tired after lunch? You're not alone. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5 Hour Energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. With zero sugar, a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore, like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry. There's a flavor for everyone. Try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy product today, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order, cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Thank you for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Miami drains the swamp, 41-17, your final score. We got the truth teller, Bruce Warner. And Bruce, but by the way, when I was out in Gainesville, I had some people ask me.
They renamed
Gainesville. I had a lot of the Miami fans that I ran into, and there were a lot of them. And by the way, huge shout out, because a lot of you watched the show. You recognize me, which is something I will never get used to. I will never get used to, like, people saying, "Hey, Locked On Canes," it's cool, but it's I'll never get used to it. But people were asking me, the truth teller, where is he? And I was like, hey, Bruce has got it.
Get out of here. They didn't ask about me.
They did. I'm dead serious. They were asking me, why is Bruce not here? I'm dead serious. They were asking me about.
And what did you say?
I said, he's got because we're doing this episode right before you go off to the port to get on your cruise. That it didn't, you couldn't go out to Gainesville and come back to Miami to go on your cruise. So that was I covered for you.
My 85-inch screen TV. I'm there. I'm like right there. It's so close. It's amazing. I just love to watch it. I feel like it's a little too close to me because that's the walls in my apartment, but still, I'm so happy. I am so happy. I'm just thrilled. But yeah, so I mentioned about the Canes are back. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, just I think about, where this roster has come from, 2 years ago, 2022, Mario's first season at Miami. And I just look at the size of these players, and it's not just the players Miami has brought in. It's also, I give the strength and conditioning program, Coach Feld and company, so much credit, because like a lot of the players who have been here even the past couple of years have just transformed themselves. Guys like Inez Cooper, Jalen Rivers looks like he's carved out of stone at this point. Damari Brown has put on a lot of quality size since he arrived at Miami. Chris Johnson has put on a lot of quality weight. Like, I look at the difference in, like, you start, because I've been going to Miami practices for years. And I just think about, when I go to practice now, the competition levels, the intensity, like you feel like you're at, a high level SEC type of practice. And I kind of, it makes me realize, thinking back to what it was like a few years ago, just how far this program has come, Bruce. And I think you saw that on display. And I know, Florida fans will be backtracking now. It's like, well, turns out our team stinks. So what did Miami really accomplish? We're terrible and they beat us. So what? Like, okay, you're talking about a lot of, maybe even if their hype was self-created, Florida considered to be, it's an SEC program, and it's not Vanderbilt. By the way, Vanderbilt actually beat Virginia Tech over the weekend, which was crazy
to see.
But you're talking about Miami going into the belly of the beast at an SEC program and out-muscling them. That's the sort of team Miami has right now, Bruce. And big picture wise, we talked about this a little bit. It's been a weird opening weekend for the ACC. Yeah. Nobody has represented this conference better than Miami, right? From Clemson getting just completely canceled out by Georgia. We knew they would lose, but we thought they'd show us a little something on offense, and that offense hasn't gotten better.
Right. They haven't improved at all. They haven't improved at all. But I do want to say again that when we did the show the other day, and I've heard a lot of people, because I was outvoted like 2-1 from Blue and from Brian, but they were worried about the cohesiveness of the team. And I kept on saying, I've been telling you for months, I've never seen them so locked in. I have not seen this team is so together, which was a big part of what happened yesterday. They didn't get upset because this play or that play. He throws the pick in the first quarter, and the defense held him to a field goal. That was great. Now, in the past, they would have just marched in one play touchdown, and that would have been untouched, and the game is tied. But no, this team is unified. I'm not worried about a lot of the things that I had mentioned could be a possible problem. But when you go down there like we have, and you see what goes on, that team is so tight. We were watching guys catch passes, even in indoors before they went outdoors. And the whole receiving corps is jumping on a guy for an 8-yard square out. I mean, they were just so locked in. They bought into what Mario wants, which has not happened in years. Certainly Diaz didn't have a unified team. And now you're seeing the fruits of all of Mario's labor. And now he deserves the money he's getting, because what everybody's been saying after yesterday. But you know what? That roster was great, even if they didn't win yesterday, because look what he's done.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you hit on that point because you're right. One of the big questions, we did a show on it last Thursday in the
Mhm.
roundtable. Can all the new talent gel together immediately? They did.
Yes.
Immediately. Like you would think these guys were all, you would think Cam Ward has been here since 2021, like the way everybody gelled together. I thought that was fantastic and an awesome job as well. And by the way, guys, give Bruce some credit because he had been saying blowout. He had the guts to say Miami blowout. I didn't. He was 100% right. I predicted a close win. Bruce nailed it from the get-go. Also, Bruce, I don't know if you know this, but my guy Brad Tejeda, who I brought on the show last week, he predicted the exact score. Brad
Right.
Tejeda predicted 41-17 Miami.
Right.
I got to give him love for like this
Yeah,
kid is
that's what you
Nostradamus.
call a blowout. That's a blowout. And you know what?
Yeah.
Dane hardly played it, and we didn't even miss him. Not a
Yeah.
beat. I mean,
Nope,
if he
nope.
was in there, it might have been even worse. But that's the
Yeah.
beauty of being stacked.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of depth. You know, that's
Yeah.
what happens when you have talent. You take out Martinez, you bring in Fletcher, then you take him out, you bring in, Jordan Lyle. There's no downside to this. They're just going attack. They don't change the plays because some rookies in the game. And I'll bring up Lofton. Lofton looked. Can you imagine him in the future? Oh my goodness,
That's a player.
He's a
Yeah.
player. He's a college kid with a pro body. He's that good.
I love it. Well, guys, huge shout out and thank you to the Truth Teller. Huge shout out to everybody who I ran into in Gainesville. And I know some folks were messaging me that I didn't get to see out there. So hopefully everybody goes to more Miami home games this year and I can meet all the great Locked On Canes listeners. And we will talk to you again next time. 41-17. Miami put that belt to you know what. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.